Yo, what's up, guys? The Insane Game Freak here. So, a lot of new Pokemon information came out, and oh my god, this generation is really trying to change the game, primarily with just the weird variations in how the new Pokemon look, and then on top of just mechanical changes. So, I guess we'll kind of just start down the list and talk about my thoughts about each thing. First off, Alola forms. I feel like this is what the balance they need to do to Mega Evolutions. See, like Mega Evolutions in the game, the biggest problem for Mega Evolutions in the game was the fact that Mega Evolutions were not only unfair to certain Pokemon because only certain Pokemon can get them, but the Pokemon that got them became almost insanely fucking broken. There are very few Megas that are actually bad. Most of them are absurdly broken. It's freaking ridiculous. And they weren't really balanced in a fair way. It was like, oh, you can only Mega Evolve once per battle. I feel like what they're doing is they've kind of split up certain aspects of Mega Evolution. They've essentially given all the older Pokemon type and appearance variations based on Alola, while also pretty much turning the Mega Evolutions into like a Mega attack. Like, I'm going to use my Z move. And to me, that creates more strategy, because then you have to pick the right Pokemon and pick the Pokemon to use the specific Z move. So it's not a simple choice of like, oh, well, only this Pokemon I'm going to Mega Evolve. Because really what it always turned into when it came to Oris and like X and Y is that you were pretty much just looking for the Megas you knew about. You're like, all right, which one is going to be the Mega and which one am I have to deal with some shit with? And usually you find it and you would beat it and everything else would be a fucking cakewalk. Now that every Pokemon can use a Z move, that makes the unpredictability of it all a lot more interesting, which is why I'm pretty hyped for that. And the different forms allow for different battle strategies. You know, someone could have a normal Ninetales and someone could have a fucking Alola Ninetales. We don't know how that's going to work, but my assumption would be that Alola Pokemon forms, you probably would have to go to that specific area. If you notice, at least with the Sandshrew evolution and the Vulpix evolutions, they're both ice variations. And there's an ice area on the Alola region. So I'm pretty sure you could probably just go to the ice region. Probably there'd be like a certain totem or something you go talk to or go interact with. And you could choose to have your Pokemon adapt. The fact that they call them Alola forms just tells me, that also just means that you can't find a normal Vulpix. But you could turn it into a normal Vulpix. Like maybe the ice area is where you find the Alola Vulpix, but if you go to like the fire area, you can interact with the totem and turn it back into like a traditional Vulpix. Because that means I could swap between the two and it constantly changes. I think the only issue there is that because they're completely different types, you would essentially have to repick moves. But I don't think that's a huge issue. It's kind of a cheating way of using like Move Tutor. Or maybe you can, when you first pick the Vulpix, you can choose to have it be an Alola Vulpix or a traditional Vulpix. I don't know. The fact that you can transfer Gen 1 Pokemon over tells me that almost every Gen 1 Pokemon will probably have an Alola form. Because of the whole Pokemon Yellow, Red, and Blue transferability thing, my assumption is that every Gen 1 will have an Alola form. Executors look so fucking ridiculous, I can only imagine what Executes is. I'm also curious of the fact that why they didn't show it. Makes me wonder. But we already know that it's going to turn into a grass dragon, and no one uses just Execute unless you're just trying to, unless it's kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a personal challenge kind of thing. So the Alola forms are interesting. So the next thing we'll move on to is the new Pokemon, which I have over here. Fucking. Bruh, Gumshoe, my boy. Gumshoe, no bull, is essentially, he got out the gang, dog. He made it out. He's like, I ain't got time for this shit anymore. I got too old. I want my peace and quiet life. I ain't got no time for these gangs and shit. That's Gumshoe. He's seen some shit. He's a little rough in the face now. He's like, bruh, they ain't about that life no more, man. I know I can still swing with you, but I ain't trying to. I'm good. If I had to pick some favorites out of the new ones we've seen today, which aren't too many, I would say the I think it's like Fomantis and Lurantis. The Fomantis and Lurantis, I'm almost positive I'm going to have Lurantis on my team. I love the way the thing looks. It pretty much reminds me of Levanti from Gen 5, except a lot more variation in terms of its design, where Levanti looked kind of samey. Lurantis looks pretty fucking dope. I'm also and the fact that its special move is essentially just a physical version of Solar Beam. We'll see. I mean, people, if you can cheat it through like with Sunny Day and shit, it'll be just as fine. It'll be just as good as Solar Beam is. Except if that also tells me this thing is probably going to be a physical attacking grass type, which is cool as fuck to me because we don't have that many of those. A lot of grass types are special users, not physical users. So having a more physical grass type is cool with me. Then you have the four birds, which is probably the best variation of this kind of gimmick they've used, like with Furfuro in the older games, where each bird is not only the same, they're the same Pokemon, but with different types and different, with the same ability. And I like the fact that we have such a wide variation. It's like, if I remember right, it's fire, electric. I want to say psychic. It's either psychic or fairy. I'm going to say psychic. Psychic and ghost. I think this is the first time we've ever had a ghost flying type, actually. And I wouldn't think they would go with ghost. I thought it would be like ice. But I think changing up the type variation makes for a more interesting game. And this game is already looking like it's going to be interesting as fuck, especially when we start talking about the other changes it's made. Then you have some of these Pokemon I don't remember. Mudbray, I think is how you pronounce his name. Mudbray. Yeah, Mudbray, which is I haven't learned Gen 6. I haven't learned Gen 7 names yet. What is its evolution's name? I just saw the damn thing and I don't remember. Mudsdale. So Mudsbray and Mudsdale. Mudsbray is just a cute horse. It kind of reminds me of a donkey a lot, without like being an ass. Oh, that was terrible. Bruh. Also, just a side note, Twitter, you guys are disgusting with Executor. That shit is the meanest. My God, that Pokemon got dogged out so bad. That Pokemon got dogged out so fucking. They dogged him out, and they're still dogging him. They're gonna be dogging him for months. I know it's also been confirmed that we're gonna get the next set of news on the 12th. So they're not even. It's just gonna be a thing. Like every 2 weeks, we're gonna get like new Pokemon news, and I like the way they're rolling it out versus the way they've always rolled it out. The way they used to roll it out is that you get like a bunch of information and like E3, you might get a bunch of information a little bit after the reveal of the game, and then eventually the game would come out. But the thing with that is because of all the leakers and shit, you got spoiled on like half of the Pokemon and the features of the game before the game was even finished. So I like this whole casually rolling out new Pokemon on top of like explaining everything. It's a cool way of getting me interested into the game. And keeping everything fresh. So Pokemon never leaves your mind because the shit's always coming back in another fucking video, and which the next one we'll have is on the 12th. So not even 2 weeks from now, like another week and a half, which is nuts. As far as other Pokemon that I missed, the Meteor one, which looks okay to me. I think out of my favorite is obviously Lurantis. Lurantis is my favorite of the new ones showed off today, with probably one of the how you pronounce this Pokemon's name? Oricoro? I'm probably mispronouncing that name. Pokemon. I probably would say I don't know. I'm kind of partial to the Ghost Flying one. Ghost Flying or the that electric flying is kind of warming people's hearts. It's one of those things where it shouldn't be as cute as it is, but it is, and it's like, well, fuck it, I can't do anything about it. The next thing is the whole. It's not really 100% confirmed, but it might as well be that apparently we're not gonna have gyms. We're gonna have these trials that we're gonna have to do, which seem to be a fusion of gym battles and like fetch quests. Pretty much, it's kind of like in the older games where you would get to an area and like later on in the game, like around halfway through the game, you would usually would have to do some type of quest before you could even proceed to the gym, and then you would have to do the gimmick of the gym, and then you would have to fight the gym leader. They've essentially turned that into like something completely different. It's not really completely, they've just kind of changed how it works now, where you meet this trial leader. We meet all four of them in here. We meet 4 trial leaders. We're probably going to have to do some fetch quest for them, and then we fight a totem Pokemon, and then we fight the master, I guess the Hakuna. I don't even know how to pronounce it. If I saw the word, I would know. But it's like you have to. Essentially, there's like 3 things. You got to do whatever quest they want you to do, fight a totem Pokemon, and then fight like pretty much the boss of each island, which I believe is called. What is it called? I know what you're called, and you won't tell me. I'm actually looking on the site right now because I don't remember what it's called. The Kahunas. There we go. So they've essentially turned, which would be interesting because my question is the trial captains don't seem like they're the Kahunas. So that means but they also mentioned how the trial captains each have specialties. Like the green hair girl is grass, the blue hair girl is water, the little boy is electric, and the black dude is fire. Well, and then you have the Kahunas. So essentially they've split up the 8 gyms into 4 sections where you're going to fight a trial captain. You got to fight the trial captains because the trial captains even talk about their specialties in terms of Pokemon. So that means you essentially have to do you're mandatory going to do a quest, a totem fight, a trial captain fight, and a Kahuna fight. So that's 3 confirmed fights. And then my question is, well, what about the champion? Because the champion isn't like the gym leader champion. The champion would be like, is it going to be the same thing that the Elite Four is going to essentially devolve into? And my question is, and you won't really know until you see the storyline of one of these trial captains go out, but I'm banking that each trial captain, we're going to learn about the trial captain through the trial, and then eventually when we fight the totem Pokemon, and then fight the trial captain, and it's like, then I don't know if the trial captain leads into the totem Pokemon because it can't. Why tell me that the Luna is the water specialist when they never show us fighting Luna? They just show us fighting the totem Pokemon. So my assumption is that you're having about 3 fights per area, 3 mandatory fights, which is obviously the totem fight, the trial captain fight, and then the Kahuna fight, along with whatever quest you have to do. And my question is the quest, it seems they kept saying the quest changes, but the first one we see is the Malo one, which is I need you to give me ingredients. So I'm hoping maybe through the quest they flush out the trial captains through like we're going through a trial captain story while doing the quest. We learn about the trial captains and maybe a little bit more of the area as we do the quest, and then eventually it's kind of like a character development moment on top of fighting them. It's ironically enough, I would say it's somewhat similar. It's like a weird fusion of traditional Pokemon way of handling shit on top of like Orange Island fusion. It's a very interesting concept, and I'm interested in seeing how it goes. It's also I kind of like the totem fights because the totem fights seem to devolve into a possible 2 or 3 on 1, which would make them more interesting. Because I know a lot of people like Pokemon games have been relatively easy, but the thing that would make them challenging is instead of giving Pokemon cheap-ass strategies, just make the whole battle experience harder, where I'm not worrying about just the fucking Gumgoose? I fuck it up. I've already fucked up the dude's name. It's not like I'm only worrying about Young Goose, but I'm also worrying about his evolution. And hopefully they have like different strategies and whatnot, to like unique and whatnot. And then I guess the last thing would be the Z moves, which I've pretty much talked about already, which is just kind of a replacement for nerfing and fixing Mega Evolutions. The Alola forms are interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing if some of my favorites. I want a Hypno-Leaf variation. I want my Hypno-Leaf, and I'm curious, are they just doing it for Gen 1? Or are they going to do it for all generations? Like, are we going to see a variation in, like, Gen 4 Pokemon? Because as much as I don't like Gen 4 is, like, the generation that seems to have gotten, like, the big short end of the stick in some aspects. Like, we haven't really seen any representation of Gen 4 at all. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go. Obviously, I'm at work, so I can't really post pictures and videos. Although, if you're watching this far in the video, I think you've already noticed that. And you don't give a fuck because you're still watching, and I love you. I love you. I love you all. I love you. But please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. This has been the Insane Game Freak. Life's a game, play to win. And Gen 7 is getting so fucking crazy. Peace out. Peace out.